Good morning, fellow traders. Black Coffee Trader with you here this morning, July the 3rd on a Thursday, and it is time to do our daily trade plan. Again, today is a half day on the market. Market closes at 1 p.m. Eastern today, so not sure about trading today, but we're going to look at the levels. We're going to look at what occurred yesterday and kind of where things sit heading into the holiday weekend. And we do have a good bit of news here this morning, so that might give us enough, there might be enough data to move this market one way or the other and create a bit of opportunity in the early morning session here. So let's just dive right in on the NASDAQ. So interestingly enough, on the NASDAQ yesterday, we pretty much traded the same range as we did the day before. On Tuesday, the lows were a little bit higher on the New York session than what they were on Tuesday and then also on Friday. But the highs were pretty much the same. The interesting thing is we have held above that Friday high, and we have held above the overnight low. If you look at this little thin blue line is the overnight low. The way I mark that out is once that market reopens after 5 p.m. is where I start marking that. But we have held above this is the Friday high. We've held above the Friday high and held above that overnight high. So I feel like that is a very bullish sign. If we can get a pullback into this Friday high, or even taking something, depends on what news does this morning here, but if we open and get a pullback to like the high of day from yesterday, the Friday high, that could set up a really nice long. I would want to be very careful longing into this area of resistance and the all-time highs here. We've got almost a triple top here. That is concerning. However, if you can get an entry somewhere down here, you've got about 80 to 100 points to get up here, which is a really nice move. So that could be, a lot of money made on a nice trade if you get that. Got to be careful though to get out of that trade, or really be careful that you don't see a move up and then a big rejection off the 22,900s, and then again we might just push right through it and we get a break and retest above the high of day and we're off to the races, and that could happen as well. Likewise, we have this triple bottom down here below with these lows that came in on Friday, Monday, let's see, Friday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Yes, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That has created a pretty big area that if we fall through that area, we're probably going to see downside, and I would actually not be surprised to see downside all the way down to this big area around the 22,200s, which comes from right here. You have a lot of highs coming in over the last early part of June. You have a lot of highs coming in right in that area, and getting a pullback to that would be pretty bullish on the market, obviously, kind of resetting and getting right back down to that daily 20. You can see the daily 20 is sitting right at that level. And so getting a pullback into that area would probably be a good long opportunity as well. Obviously, if we fall below this, then we're looking to take shorts and kind of being careful in some of these levels. There's a lot of opportunity here for some profit taking on a short move to the downside. So again, we will see what this thing does. See if this ends up to holding overnight to here and at the open and seeing a push higher. So ES, quite similar on ES. We're very, very much above the Friday high. And once again on ES, like the NASDAQ, we have held above the overnight low. We are holding above that low and holding above this level around the 6270s. So really, really like that. Really like that on the ES. You've kind of created almost a bit of a block here. Let's see if I can draw a quick rectangle in here. You've got this little stair step approach almost. You don't really you could kind of create one here, but we've really stepped above this key level right here. So I really like that. Oops. Sorry, let me mute this. Knocking over stuff here. Anyway, you've kind of got a bit of a stair step, and we're really holding above that. If we can hold above this, I think that's extremely bullish on the ES. If we fall below this Friday high and get down into these levels, obviously we look to play some shorts. Not really interested to short down into this. You could take that, and maybe it's a good trade, but you're kind of in a bit of this noise, so to speak. So I think the better trade would be to let it come all the way down here and then take something to the downside. But I would be interested in taking a long if we get a pullback to this area and long to the upside here. So that's the game plan on ES. Moving to the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones, we have very much went sideways. Yesterday was pretty much a sideways move. We did get that little trade I talked about yesterday on this 44,660 area, and that trade's opportunity still exists. If you didn't watch yesterday's pre-market, you may have missed that, but that level came from, let's just go to the 4-hour here. That level comes from pretty big key support and resistance here on the 4-hour chart. If we can get this thing loaded up. Sometimes this thing's a little sluggish. You can see this 44,660 area from way back here in November. You can see this having a resistance. This was in October. That was a resistance level turned to support, and we fell below it here in March, early March, end of February, early March, and we have fallen below that until we just crossed that level. So that's why that's a big watch for me. And if we can get a hold and a long off of that, that would be excellent. I think also if you get a break under that level for a break and retest short would be an excellent short as well, meaning that that has turned back into resistance. So that is still a trade I'm looking for. That's right here, and that's right at the low of day from yesterday, which we caught there at the open. Had a nice little trade, not a lot of money, but a good little trade. And we very much went sideways. So if we get another pullback to that level, I might try that again if it sets up. If we get a pullback and we push through it and we get a break and retest to the downside, then obviously we'll take it that way. But we are looking very bullish, kind of a stair-step approach here on the Dow Jones. If we get a break and hold above the high of day from yesterday, that could also be good. And if you look at the upside, there's not a lot here until we get to the 45,500. So there's a lot of space up here. It could be a really, really, really good trade if we can get a big move. And what may be happening is this thing might just go sideways for you for a few days, and we get something next week where it really, really pushes. So just got to be careful for that and be on the lookout for it. That's a trade I definitely don't want to miss if I can help it. If we fall below the low of days from yesterday or that level like we talked about, we're looking for a short, and then as we fall down below, we're also looking for shorts as well. We would be shorting into the big daily 200. That's sitting right here at this level around the 43,500s, daily 20, and then the daily 50 and the daily 100 sitting down here below price. So a lot of upside, I think, on the Dow Jones, as pretty much all the markets right now. Things are looking very bullish. Not surprised to see a big pullback, kind of refuel to go higher. That could very easily happen, and that would still be a bullish signal. Russell, this thing is just rocketing higher in the overnight here. Again, here's the Friday high. We pulled back in. That was a trade I was looking at yesterday. I didn't take that trade, but it set up beautifully. That would have been an excellent trade yesterday. And that is still something we're looking for. The Monday high, I did mark out the Monday high. I think that one could come into play. If we get a pullback into the high of day from yesterday, Monday's high, or this level, which comes from a bigger level on the 4-hour chart, the 2250s. If we get something there, that could be some nice pullback longs. And again, to the upside, there's a lot of free space here. So we could potentially be looking at a pretty big move on the Russell if we get a nice pullback. And you can see some key reactions here right around this level at the 2250s. The overnight low, we have held pretty much right at the high of day from yesterday, which is good. So everything, all the markets are really poised, it looks like, for a pullback and continuation higher. But again, that could just be a rejection, and we get a bit deeper pullback before we continue to push higher. We just have to be careful about that. Trading what the market gives us and not what we want the market to do. That is something that I want to work on and need to work on. At times I get caught in that trap where I think it's going to do one thing and then I trade that rather than trading what the market's telling me it's doing. So anyway. But that's the plan for today. Again, I'm a little bit unsure. We'll see what happens with the data that we get at 8:15. There's a bunch of data this morning at 8:15, and then also I think we have news at 10. Let me just pull that up so we can take a look at it here. Yeah, we have today is Thursday. We have average hourly earnings and non-farm employment change, unemployment rate, all at 8:30 this morning. Unemployment claims at 8:30, and then at 10 o'clock we have ISM services PMI. So we do have a lot of news happening here this morning. So that could give us, like I said earlier at the outset, that could give us something to take some trades off of and maybe move the market enough. And we'll see. Maybe the volume and everything is good today, better than what I expect for a half day. Tomorrow is the real holiday, so today we just also have a short day, which is kind of interesting on the market. So anyway, that's the plan. Trade well today. Be careful and have a great weekend. And we'll catch up with you on the next one. Take care and so long.